You've, during your career, sung a lot of songs by Bob Dylan, who was your good friend and for a short time your lover. How did you meet?
Meet Bob. Somebody said, you've got to come to Greenwich Village. There's this incredible guy who writes music. And I had been told by a number of people the same thing. So I went to see him, and he was incredible. I mean, I was very impressed. He was this funny little guy with his guitar. The night I saw him, he was making up songs. He sang the song to Woody, and then he was just making up words, which just, I was in total awe of that, to just stand there and ad-lib and make up music. And then he was dragged over to the table to meet the Madonna, and it was all very awkward because, I felt like some aging dowager at that point, and he seemed so young. And I didn't work with him for, I think, maybe a year or so after that.
Well, you were more established than he was at the time, and you took him on an American tour that you were doing and used to introduce him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'd introduce him, and my audience, they're trained into absolute silence to listen to the Madonna sing her nubile folk songs, and on would come this little scruff-ball, and he would sing, and his voice, they were not prepared for that, and then sometimes they would boo. And I'd shake my little finger at them like a schoolmarm and say, now you listen to this boy, he's a genius. And so they'd be quiet and obedient. And then before very long, maybe a verse or two, they figure out that, in fact, it was something quite astonishing going on with the songs he was writing.
Well, that really helped him get known. And then shortly thereafter, he went on an English tour and took you with him, except he didn't share the spotlight with you the way you had shared it with him.
That's true. I don't really enjoy telling Dylan stories over the air, but I would say that in what I wrote about Bob, which is, I think, has surprised people because it's very candid, I open myself up. I mean, I think you learn more about me than you do about Bob, and tell the magnificence of the music and the times that we had together, and really some glorious things about him. And then it's very unflattering on the dismal parts. And that was very difficult to figure out how to write that, because that, he and the other people I've dealt with in the book were important to me. And so I think you have to write some of the good and the bad. On the other hand, I don't think a book should be written to level accounts, and I really tried not to do that. I tried to just express what those times were like.
Well, let's talk about this effect on you when you were touring England with him and weren't getting called onto stage and weren't sharing the spotlight with him. How did it affect you emotionally?
I would talk about that in a grander sense in general. Somebody who came into an identity at age 18, as I said, and I thought it was pretty terrific to be the Madonna, and got lots and lots of attention, and learned to sort of survive on that. And one of the things that happened was I couldn't stand having the show stolen from me. I was very ungraceful about that, and I simply couldn't believe that was happening. About Bob's gracelessness, people can make their own assumptions why he did what he did, but the difficulty for me was my own reaction to that I kept going back to it and didn't sort of, didn't use my head, or didn't have one in that situation.
Do you still sing songs by him?
Sure, yeah. They're marvelous. They're the best. They're the best that anybody wrote, in my opinion, for the things that we needed and the things that we did in the 60s.